we are counting down the 10 critical turning points that shaped and ultimately doomed the American station wagon. From humble origins shuttling travelers from train depots to becoming the symbol of suburban life, each entry reveals a moment that propelled the wagon higher or sent it spiraling toward extinction. Some of these milestones might seem unthinkable today, but everyone changed how American families traveled. So, what moment started it all? Let us begin with number 10. In the early 1900s, American travelers arriving by train often found themselves stranded at rural stations, miles from their final destination. The solution was simple and rugged. Modified trucks with wooden benches bolted to the back, ready to haul people and luggage between the depot and local hotels or homes. These open-air vehicles, sometimes covered with canvas but often exposed to the elements, became known as depot hacks. There were no taxis waiting, just these workhorses, built by local coach builders who improvised with whatever parts and bodies they could craft. By the 1920s, as their routes expanded beyond train stations, the name station wagon caught on, reflecting their new role as the go-to vehicle for moving families and gear. What started as a purely functional shuttle service would soon evolve into something far more significant in American life. By the 1920s, wooden-bodied wagons weren't just a quirky offshoot. They were a status symbol. Ford took things further, buying up vast tracts of Michigan forest at Iron Mountain to control every step, from tree to tailgate. Skilled workers shaped ash and birch into elegant frames, each piece hand-fitted like fine furniture. But beauty came at a price. Every year owners faced hours of sanding, varnishing, and tightening joints, or risked rot and rattles. As families grew and roads stretched farther, the dream of a low-maintenance wagon gained steam. The tipping point arrived in 1946 with the Willys Jeep station wagon. The first family-sized all-steel wagon you didn't have to refinish like a dining room table. Manufacturers kept the wood look with clever paint and vinyl, but the age of hand-built woodies was over. Steel made wagons practical for the masses, paving the way for their suburban takeover. By 1950, station wagons were still a rare sight, making up less than 3% of new cars leaving American factories. But the next 10 years changed everything. The baby boom filled households with kids. The government poured billions into interstate highways, and suburbs sprang up almost overnight. Suddenly, families needed a way to haul groceries, sports gear, and a growing roster of children across longer distances. Dealers couldn't keep wagons on the lot. Demand soared as parents traded in sedans for the promise of more space and adventure. By 1959, wagons claimed nearly 17% of the market. In 1958, Plymouth's wagons outsold their own sedans for the first time, a clear sign that the station wagon had become the family default, not just an oddity for the well-to-do or the rural. The American driveway would never look the same. In 1976, American car buyers faced a dazzling array of choices. 62 different station wagon models lined dealer lots from coast to coast. Sales soared to nearly 972,000 units that year, representing a full 10% of all new vehicles sold in the United States. There were wagons for every taste. sleek two-door models for style, practical four-door versions for families, three-row layouts with rear-facing or side-facing jump seats, and even hardtops with massive glass roofs like the Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser. General Motors pushed the engineering envelope with its clamshell tailgate, an ambitious design where the glass slid into the roof and the tailgate disappeared under the floor, promising the largest, most open cargo space yet. But with all this innovation came complexity. The clamshell's intricate mechanics became notorious for breakdowns and warranty headaches. Still, this was the high watermark for the American wagon: diversity, ambition, and sheer confidence, just before the tide would turn. No other car captured the American dream quite like the station wagon in its heyday. The Ford Country Squire stretched a jaw-dropping 218 inches, longer than today's Chevy Tahoe, and wore its fake wood panels with pride. Advertisements promised a taste of country club life, with names like Town and Country and Safari, conjuring visions of rolling estates and weekend escapes. Under the hood, big block V8 engines with more than 400 cubic inches rumbled, ready to tow boats or haul the soccer team at a moment's notice. For many families, the wagon was more than a car. It was a rolling headquarters, a mobile living room, and a status symbol all at once. Owners remember the sense of arrival, the way neighbors looked when you pulled up, and the feeling that anything, a road trip, camping, backyard baseball, was possible with all that space. This was the peak, when bigger meant better, and the station wagon was king of the cul-de-sac. In October 1973, a sudden embargo by OAPEC sent oil prices soaring from around $3 to nearly $12 a barrel. Gas stations posted handwritten signs: out of gas, 10-gallon maximum, odd and even license plate days. Lines stretched for blocks, engines idling, tempers flaring. For families with a full-size wagon in the driveway, reality hit hard. Those big V8 engines, once a source of pride, now gulped fuel at 10 or 12 miles per gallon, if you could even find gas to buy. Diaries from the time tell of parents leaving wagons parked for weeks, carpooling in compacts, or trading down to Pintos overnight. Dealership telegrams pleaded for smaller cars. The big wagons just sat. Sales collapsed almost instantly. Chrysler, reading the writing on the wall, abandoned its full-size wagons entirely by 1978. The American station wagon, once the symbol of abundance, had become a casualty of scarcity. Automakers faced a brutal math problem with station wagons. Building a wagon meant using longer, heavier frames, extra glass, and more complex seating, yet the sticker price barely budged over a sedan. Margins were thin, and the new corporate average fuel economy standards made it even worse. Passenger cars, including wagons, had to hit 27.5 miles per gallon, while so-called light trucks, minivans, pickups, and SUVs only needed 20.5 miles per gallon. That split wasn't just technical, it was a gold mine. By the early 1990s, Ford could build an Explorer for about $1,000 more than a Taurus wagon, but sell it for $5,000 to $10,000 more, pocketing massive profits. boardroom memos and production schedules shifted overnight. Why keep building wagons that cost more and earned less? When SUVs and minivans sailed through loopholes and filled the company coffers, the economics were impossible to ignore. In 1984, Chrysler rolled out the Dodge Caravan and Plymouth Voyager, vehicles that looked nothing like the wood-paneled wagons parked in driveways across America. Lee Iacocca, fresh from being ousted at Ford, pitched the idea as a family van that actually fit inside a garage. The magic was in the details: sliding doors for easy kid wrangling, a car-like ride, and more interior space than most wagons, all wrapped in a compact, friendly shape. Minivans offered higher seating and flexible layouts, making school runs and vacation packing a breeze. Early buyers loved the practicality. But there was something else at play: image. Baby boomers, tired of their parents' wagons, saw the minivan as a clean break from the past. Chrysler sold 200,000 in the first year, and the station wagon's reign as the default family car was officially over. The family wagon did not just lose ground to minivans, it was steamrolled by a new breed of vehicle that promised adventure, status, and a commanding view of the road. Starting in 1984, the Jeep Cherokee and the Toyota 4Runner arrived with 4 doors, upright seating, and rugged styling that looked ready for anything, even if most never left the pavement. Nissan Pathfinder, and by 1990, the Ford Explorer followed. Each one marketed as a ticket to the great outdoors, even if the closest most owners got was a gravel driveway. Americans fell hard for the image: higher ride height, big tires, and the illusion of invincibility. Advertisements showed mountain trails and surfboards, not school runs and grocery bags. Sales soared, and so did profits. SUVs became the new family default, leaving wagons behind not because they did the job better, but because they looked like they could do anything. The last American station wagons, the Chevrolet Caprice and the Buick Roadmaster, rolled off the line in 1996, quietly ending a chapter that once shaped family life from coast to coast. By 2004, only 26 wagon models remained, most of them European imports. The number dropped to just 8 by 2016. In 2015, wagons accounted for a scant 1.1% of new car sales in the US, fewer than 190,000 units, a rounding error in an era of pickup and SUV dominance. Yet the story did not truly end. Crossovers like the Honda CR-V, the Toyota RAV4, and especially the Subaru Outback took the same formula: a car platform, a rear hatch, family space, lifted it a few inches, and sold it as something new. Americans still wanted what wagons offered, but only if you called it anything else. The wagon vanished in a name, but its DNA lives on, hidden in plain sight in every so-called crossover on the road. Across every turning point, one pattern stands out. Americans never stopped needing the station wagon, they just wanted it rebranded. The fall wasn't about function, but about perception. In the end, the station wagon's legacy lives on, hidden in plain sight, proving how marketing shapes even our most practical desires.